Hey, welcome back to Five Lakes Garage, and today we're going to work on the Dodge again. If you saw some of the other episodes, I had a hard time starting this thing. I had to jump start it with my lawnmower because I was at the bottom of the hill at the Legion and couldn't get back up, and everybody left. So I had to think outside the box and use the lawnmower to charge the battery enough to be able to get the heck out of there. So in my other video, I just basically took the original connectors off, kind of cleaned them up, put them on there, and that worked out pretty well. It has been starting a lot better, but I finally got some stuff to actually rewire some of it. Now, I did notice that some of the cable that they're using here is actually 1/aught cable. The stuff I picked up was 2/aught. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to try to reuse some of the stuff, maybe cut it back enough to be able to get some good copper in order to reuse those. I want to put decent connectors on there because these things here, these are garbage. Garbage. We're going to put some decent connectors on it. We're going to solder it in. We're going to heat shrink it. We're going to get it all set to go. If I cannot use the cable, I might just go out and just buy some new stuff and actually put it in correctly. Some of the stuff I will be able to use the 2/aught that I already have, but for the main cranking, looks like I might need to get some new cable. I'll cut the sheathing back on this stuff to see if it's actually savable. If it is, great. If not, in the recycling bin, and I'm going to get some new stuff. So anyway, so let's see what we need to re-terminate all of the battery terminals on this Dodge. And just keep in mind, it does have 2 batteries, so it's 2 of everything. Check it out. Okay, so this is everything that I have for that. I have roughly 25 feet of red, 25 feet of black, but this is a 2 gauge wire. And like I said, I might need to get a 1 gauge for that stuff, or even 0. I'm going to measure that off and actually see what's going on. I also have new battery terminals, and these are kind of military grade. I picked these up online. They're relatively cheap, but hopefully they'll be able to work out a lot better. Basically, you have to put on little clips. These guys, so I picked these guys up as well. There we go. So we have crimp on connectors, and what I'm going to do with these is actually put solder in there, put the cable in, then I'm going to crimp it. All right. So once you crimp it, you are going to need heat shrink. So I bought a little kit that has a bunch of different sizes of connectors. Excuse me, and it also comes with heat shrink. All right, so we have heat shrink, we have red, and we also have black. Now, not all heat shrink is created equal. If you look on the front cover on this stuff here, the 3-to-1 is pretty much all that we're going to do there. So this guy here will shrink down 3 times its size. Okay, now for doing stuff like this, there's also a type of heat shrink that actually has a glue inside of it, which will help protect it as far as weather. Now, this stuff here, this is the cheap stuff you get at Harbor Freight, and I would not recommend this type of stuff for underneath the hood. If it's inside the cab, you can get away with it. It does do pretty well, but it's not going to weatherproof it. These other ones with the glue inside actually creates a good seal, and it will be weatherproofed. This stuff here is for, if you're going to do a radio or something like that. But I do love heat shrink. Heat shrink is great. Now there's 2 ways of using heat shrink. You can use a regular heat gun like this. It's kind of like an oversized hair dryer. Gets all the way up to, looks like 1350 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty hot. That should be able to do the job. So the other way of actually heating it up, just use a torch. Just don't use too much of this because it does get way too hot, way too fast. It does shrink the heat shrink, but it also burns your wire. Be careful with this, all right? So we have connectors, we have heat shrink. What are we going to cut the wire with? All right, so somebody's just going to grab a pair of side cutters. They work, sure. You do have to give a little bit of oomph to it, but it's going to flatten it out. These are not the ideal pliers you really want to use to cut your cable, especially the big stuff. Little stuff, it's not too awful bad, but on the big stuff, grab some actual cable pliers. See how it's kind of circled around there? And what that's going to do is go all the way around it and snip it all the way around. These are a much better suit for the thicker cable. Now, like I said, what I was going to do is actually put solder in this. So I have a whole roll of solder, and I'm going to use my torch. I'm going to put it in the vise, and I'm going to go ahead and melt all the solder inside, and I'm going to jam that cable right in there. So once we actually get that done, we need to crimp it. What are we going to use for crimper? Well, this is my new baby. 5 Lakes Garage just picked up a new toy. So this is a hydraulic crimping tool. So each die has a number on it. All right. One thing that's very important when using these is do not lose your paperwork. All right. So if you open it up, there is a chart that says this is your gauge of wire. So I'm using a 2 gauge. So I would use a 35 die. Okay, so I'm going to look in here for a 35. And actually, it's already in there. And if you look inside there, it says 35. So make sure your top and the bottom are the same. We're going to slide that right down in the bottom. Then we're going to close the breech. Then this guy is ready to go. And then you just keep pumping it until this side reaches that side. And then when you want to release it, turn your knob, it goes back down. These are very, very good to have. They're relatively cheap. You can buy them online, but always keep your paperwork. Now, if you already read the instructions, you know how to do that. What I'm going to do is actually fold this in half, and I'm going to tape it to the inside of the box so I do not lose it. Okay, so that's pretty much all the stuff that we're going to use to crimp all these wires. So what I'm going to do now is actually get some of the cables off of it. I'm going to disconnect both batteries so I do not short anything out and start a fire or hurt myself. And once all the batteries are disconnected, I'm going to have them over in the corner. I'm going to start charging them. Then I'm going to grab all the old cables so I can match them up, and hopefully I can use some of the cable again. If not, I'm going to have to go buy some more cable. But always use the right size cable. Don't put a 2 gauge wire on a 0 gauge connection. You will start a fire and you will burn your truck down. Do not do that, okay? All right, I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is I do have a bunch of ones that I can be replacing with my cable that I have, but the bigger ones, they're pretty much done. And actually my connectors that I bought, the universal kit, it's not that universal because it didn't have connectors that big. So I'm gonna run down to the store here in a minute to see what I can find. Probably gonna pay an arm and a leg, but we'll be able to finish this up. But I'm gonna show you how to crimp one of these little simple little cables here. Now I've already marked it of how long I really need it. So I'm gonna take my cutters, which goes around in a circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this guy. There we go. And look at that. It's about in the same size. Okay, so we need to trim off a little bit here. It's about a 1/2 inch. If you want to use a connector as a template, just put it right next to it. We don't want it to get it, we need to have enough clamping force or it's not going to be able to be pulled out. So you can put up here, maybe put it about right there. So about a 1/2 inch. There are some strippers out there that you can use that does this really well. You just kind of go around, boom, pops right off every single time. Well, I don't have that, but I do have a knife. So I am going to shave off about a 1/2 inch. Now you do not want to go so deep that you're going to start cutting the actual copper cable. So I'm going to do it by feel, and also just because I've done so many. So once I actually score it all the way around, I can actually push it over and actually break the rest of it. There you go. Get that off. All right, so you want to straighten this out. And that's about all you really need to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim that off, because of course it didn't cut completely straight, but I'm gonna trim that off real quick. Maybe I need a new pair of pliers. All right, I'm gonna take my gloves off because I'm not working underneath the truck. So anyway, pretty straight, okay is straight. You can take your connector and just to make sure that your measurement is correct. What you want to have is that your insulation is going to go right into that little cup right there. And this, actually I can feel it kind of bottoming out, and I'm having to give it a little extra effort to be able to get all the way in. So we're in good shape there. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna put this in the vise, and then I'm going to heat it up with the torch and actually melt some solder down into it. So let's do that. All right, once that is in there, get all your insulation in there. Now, some people would just leave it like that. We're not some people, we're not gonna leave it. All right, so we're gonna be able to open up your drawers. You're gonna stick it in, put it right up there where that little flare is. We're gonna lock it down. All right, here we go. All right, so we're just gonna keep working this. So right now it's pretty much up there, but we're gonna go all the way to the end until, there you go. Can't do it anymore. We're going to loosen her up, take her out. And there you go. She is nice and soldered and also crimped all the way around. So now we're going to take our heat shrink. And really, if you already had a connector up here, you want to put your heat shrink on first. All right, so we're going to grab our heat shrink. We're going to put it on the other end since we forgot to put it on the first time. And then we're going to slide it all the way down here. Now that's going to be really hot, so be careful. So we want to bring it all the way up to the flat area. About right there. And then you take our heat gun. All right, so that guy is on there. You're not, it's a little warm, so I can't tug on it. Anyway, you should not be able to pull that off. So we're gonna put another connector on this side because this is just gonna go from the battery straight into a fuse block. So I'm gonna do another one. All right, I'm back from the store. I went to 3 different auto parts stores. Nobody has anything to fit this gauge. The lowest they had was 2. Ended up going to Ace Hardware, and they had some. I say some, not all. There's some stuff I'm gonna have to make work. I needed a 3/8 lug on it, but all they had was 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna try those for right now. I will try to order the right stuff later, but I gotta get it running. I gotta get it out of here. And yes, I went to the store like this because I drove the pumpkin, and it's cold today. As you can tell, I got my jacket on. But if you guys like these hats, these are handmade from my mama. And if you want some, shoot me up on an email or even in the comments, and we will work something out. I got a bunch of them that she made. Anything from ducks to dogs to turkeys. Let me know and we can work something out. So anyway, I'm gonna get some more of this stuff ripped out and hopefully terminated. I don't know. All right, so I went to a different gauge. I need my paper. 2070. There we go. Not coming off. Put my heat shrink back on. Could have done without that. All right, that side is beautiful. Let's show you the other side. All right, this side is pretty corroded and nasty. We're gonna chop that off and try to save as much as we can because it's not that long. And all the places I went today to try to get new cable, nobody has cable this big. I'm sure if I kept trying, I'll find it. But couldn't find it today. It's all crimped on there, nice and pretty, but guess what I forgot? Heat shrink. Hopefully I can get it over this once it cools down enough and it won't shrink around it. That sucks, but it's okay though. She's not coming off. Yeah, there we go. That will work. No worries. Here we go. 2 brand new ends on this cable. Now this cable is kind of old. I will be replacing it eventually. Actually, as I'm going through this, I'm kind of looking at different things I kind of want to do to it. I want to revamp the electrical system. There's not a lot of circuits on this thing, but it looks like things have been added. And what I want to do is actually have another cable coming off the battery, 1 instead of 20, coming into a circuit breaker or a fuse block or something that will clean it right up and make it look pretty and safe. All right, so I got the negative side off the passenger side. And that is some serious meat. But the good thing is I have a connector for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a new end on that one. And then I'm gonna take my bolt, this was what is connected to the block for the ground, and I'm gonna take it to the wire brush. Make sure these are clean. Also grab a wire brush, hit the side of the block. We gotta have a really good ground, or else you're doing this for nothing. So anyway, I'm gonna put more terminations on these things and get it back in the truck. And then you'll see how well it starts. But first I'm gonna get rid of this nasty corroded piece of garbage. Put a new one on. Alright, so I got the bolt, I hit it with the wire brush. Now it's nice and clean. I went ahead and terminated both ends, and they're still warm because I used a lot of torch. But anyway, it was good that we actually had the 1/2 inch because it fits on the block bolt a lot better than the 3/8. Excuse me. So I want to put this on there. I did hit the side of the block with a wire brush. Wear safety glasses when you use this stuff. These little things, as you can see, my brush is about gone, but there's still a few bristles left, and it does do the job. And I don't have Uncle Dave here to pick on me about my tools and how crappy they are, but it's okay. All right, I got a termination on every single one of them, all the way down to the starter. This was a much bigger project than I thought it was going to be, but it's okay. I do have some wires I need to trace back. I'll do that at another time. You guys don't have to watch me trace back cables. Maybe I'll do another video once I figure out what they are. Pretty sure probably one's for that radio, which is going to come out anyway. It doesn't work very well, so I'll probably rewire that. I want to put another fuse box on the side for any accessories that we might have. I might put some lights on or something like that, but I'm ready to put the batteries in. All my cables are in. Hopefully everything will start right and not blow up. So let's find out. All right, let's go do some batteries and hook up some connections. A success. We re-terminated every connection, make sure that it was nice and clean. We cleaned off the block to where we're actually getting good ground. Replaced all those connectors. We still had to use the same cables because I can't find 0 to 1 gauge cable around town. I would have to probably order it. I'll probably order some just so I can have some here in the shop. But everything is connected up and it starts up really well. It is getting ready to be winter time, and it's a diesel. She needs all the current she can get. A couple things that I did notice about this and I'm gonna have to fix in the future. Both my battery hold downs are missing. Okay, I should have noticed that before. I didn't, but I need to fabricate some of those, or I can buy some. I want to put another fuse box over there so that we can clean up some of these cables. So the only thing I want to go to the batteries would be 2 10 gauge going to both fuse boxes, and then the big 1/0 cables going down to the starter and the other battery. Not gonna do that today though. But anyway, hopefully this helped you out. I love my new tool. It's actually pretty sweet. Definitely burned my fingers a few times grabbing hold of those connectors after putting the solder in there, but we are good and we are ready to rock. So anyway, stay tuned for some more stuff with the diesel, more stuff with the Jeeps and everything else. And don't forget to like, subscribe. And I guess I'll catch you next time. Have fun. Later.